Karrion Kross breaks silence after losing once again on Raw. Nikki A.S.H sends a message after her big win on Monday Night Raw, and Sheamus addresses WWE releases and backstage morale. Hello everyone, Jose G here, bringing you today's top stories in today's Sportskeeda Wrestling News Roundup. To stay up to date with all of our content, be sure you like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Karrion Kross breaks silence after losing once again on Monday Night Raw. Karrion Kross put out a tweet sharing what's on his mind after he suffered yet another loss on Monday Night Raw. The reigning NXT champion was beaten by his former NXT rival Keith Lee in a hard-fought match in front of a red-hot crowd in Chicago. This loss takes Kross's count to 2 on the main roster within 3 weeks. On his Raw debut, the NXT champion was beaten by Jeff Hardy. Taken to Twitter, Karrion Kross reflected on how things didn't go his way, but implied that he isn't concerned about the past. Instead, the NXT champion is focused on a better future and will look forward on doing so. Along with his message, Kross also posted a video of him working out and even thanked Chicago for the hospitality. Despite his matches on the main roster as of late, Kross is involved in an interesting feud against Samoa Joe. The pair have been going back and forth ever since Joe returned to WWE. The former NXT champion will once again challenge for the title when he faces Kross at NXT TakeOver 36. Meanwhile, how things will turn out for the NXT champion on the main roster remains to be seen. It is also to be noted that Kross isn't currently accompanied by Scarlett Bordeaux on Raw. The NXT champion could be unleashed to his full force once Scarlett is by his side. John Cena reunites with AEW star at the Suicide Squad premiere. At the end of Money in the Bank, John Cena made his long-awaited return to WWE. The 16-time world champion received a thunderous ovation from the WWE Universe as he confronted the Universal Champion Roman Reigns. Prior to Money in the Bank, John Cena was last seen in the WWE at WrestleMania 36, where he wrestled the recently released Bray Wyatt in a cinematic Firefly Funhouse match. Due to the pandemic, Cena didn't appear at WrestleMania 37, the first time he was absent from the show of shows in nearly 20 years. John Cena's latest movie, Suicide Squad, will be released worldwide in theaters on HBO Max this Friday, August 7th. The premiere for the movie took place on Monday evening, and Essa is now Cinnabon Esnashari had a great video on Twitter featuring Cena dressed up as the Peacemaker and current AEW TNT champion Miro. While you can't make out what John Cena and Miro said to each other, you can clearly see they were glad to see each other as they shared an embrace and some brief words. It's possible that Cena was congratulating Miro on his success within AEW, while Miro was congratulating Cena on his success in Hollywood. John Cena continues his Summer of Cena tour within the WWE, leading up to a Universal Championship match with Roman Reigns at SummerSlam on August 21st. Miro will defend the AEW TNT Championship in the next edition of Dynamite against Lee Johnson. Nikki A.S.H sends a message after her big win on Monday Night Raw. Raw Women's Champion Nikki A.S.H finally got her revenge against Charlotte Flair on the Red brand this week. The two superstars faced each other in a brutal no-holds-barred match in the show's main event, and Nikki got her first victory since winning the title. The Queen dominated most of the match, but had to pay for her arrogance. She came close to pinning the champion twice. However, a confident Flair didn't commit to her cover during the pinfall attempts, and it backfired later on Raw. At one point, Charlotte Flair tried to introduce a steel chair into the match, but Nikki ended up using it as a weapon. She also put the champion through the commentator's desk on Monday Night Raw to assert her superiority. Nikki eventually managed to get back inside the ring while Flair set up the table in the corner of the ring. She attempted to hit a spear, but Nikki A.S.H moved out of the way, and the Queen went headfirst into the wooden table. The crash took a severe toll on Flair, who immediately fell victim to a pinfall. Despite struggling for most of the match, Nikki A.S.H managed to pick up a big win over the 11-time women's champion. After the show, the Raw Women's Champion took to Twitter and encouraged everyone to always stand up for themselves. Last week, Nikki lost her first match as the Women's Champion on Monday Night Raw when she faced Flair. does she desperately needed to settle the score this week, as she will move closer to their scheduled encounter at SummerSlam. Charlotte Flair defeated Rhea Ripley for the Raw Women's title at Money in the Bank. However, her title reign ended within a day when Nikki A.S.H successfully cashed in her Money in the Bank contract. Soon after that, Ripley and Flair demanded a shot at the Raw Women's Championship. While the latter laid out attacks on the champion for stealing her title, the Nightmare stuck to fair warnings and honorable confrontations. Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville then confirmed that Nikki A.S.H would put her Raw Women's Championship on the line in a triple threat match against Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley at SummerSlam. The reigning champion now has a considerable challenge awaiting for her at the upcoming pay-per-view, as both the former champions look keen to reclaim the gold. Booker T says released WWE star can't be replaced. WWE legend Booker T has stated that Bray Wyatt can't be replaced following his release from WWE. On the latest Hall of Fame podcast, Booker T was asked about the latest string of WWE releases. The Hall of Famer touched upon the release of Bray Wyatt, who he believes is irreplaceable, saying, quote, "Bray Wyatt was a talent. Will he be missed? Of course. Can he be replaced? I don't think so, because I think Bray Wyatt was one of those guys that was kind of like a throwback. You didn't just look at Bray Wyatt because of his wrestling ability or anything like that. He's kind of like Jake the Snake Roberts. He could talk to you into the building. He could do it just by whispering. That's the way Bray Wyatt was. When Bray Wyatt was doing that and the talking and making the whole lot of sense out of nothing, I was like, man, this guy here is different. He's like one of the Mick Foleys of the world. They don't come around too often. He definitely will be a guy that will be missed, and I don't think he's replaceable." End quote. Booker T believes that no one else could have played well the character that Wyatt portrayed on WWE TV. WWE surprisingly let go of Bray Wyatt on July 31st, which ended his more than a decade-long stint with the company. Wyatt is the latest big name to be released by WWE, with reports suggesting it was budget-related release. Another report stated that Wyatt did not ask for his release from the company. The report also stated that Wyatt's relationship with Vince McMahon ran very hot and cold. Sheamus addresses WWE releases and backstage morale. Sheamus has dismissed suggestions that morale amongst WWE superstars is often low. Dozens of men and women have received their releases from WWE this year, including Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman. Reports often emerge about the negative atmosphere in the locker room following a round of releases. However, Sheamus does not believe the rumors are accurate. Speaking on Ryan Satin's Out of Character podcast, the Irishman said he recently clarified reports about the morale in another interview. He added that WWE stars still get along and joke around with each other backstage, saying, quote, "I said a while ago about the locker room, I talked about a couple of releases. No one ever wants to see releases, you know. I lost a lot of friends who are no longer within the company. They asked me how the atmosphere was. I said the atmosphere is good." And then obviously Sheamus is lying, because how can the atmosphere be good? But the truth of the matter is, it is good. The lads have a gripe, a joke, they rib on each other. You know what I mean? We're always slagging each other off. And it's a really, really good vibe. End quote. Sheamus has held the US Championship since winning the title from Riddle on the second night of WrestleMania 37. He lost a non-title match against Damian Priest on last week's Monday Night Raw. Despite the number of releases in 2021, Sheamus believes WWE's current crop of stars can lead the company into a bright future. The 43-year-old also praised Nikki A.S.H following her recent Money in the Bank cash-in on Charlotte Flair to win the Raw Women's Championship. Sheamus is not the only WWE veteran who has recently spoke about the morale in the locker room. Rey Mysterio said in an interview with DAZN that John Cena's return has helped boost the atmosphere backstage. Thanks for watching today's Sportskeeda Wrestling News Roundup. For more news stories and exclusive content, be sure to follow us on all of our social media. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Download the Sportskeeda app for the most up-to-date stories in the world of wrestling.